Hey, everyone. I am here today because I want to share something with you. It is the recent blog post, it is a podcast, and now in video form. So let's see how this goes. This is the first time that I'm doing this, so patience with me, but I'm just going to jump right into it. Today, I want to talk to you about better life adventures ahead. For you, for me, and I have on here maybe. And if you know me, then you know that means it has absolutely everything to do with your perspective and where your focus is. So let's talk about a better life adventure, and is it ahead for you or not? Let's start with the first part, adventure. Okay. Adventure. We all say that we love a good adventure, but do we really? If we're truly honest with ourselves and others for that matter, it would be more accurate to say we love to choose our own adventure. As a kid, I loved reading those types of books. Do you remember those? You'd go to your school's library because it was required of you, right? And you'd pick one of those choose your own adventure books. One, because it counted as a book that your teacher would approve of. And two, you'd most likely finish it. Well, sort of. More truthfully, you'd become obsessed with all the different scenarios. How these books work is you start reading, or in my case, just skimming, until you go to the place in the book where it's your first opportunity to make a choice. And it would go a little something like this. If you want to choose to open the door at the end of the hall, go to page 35. If you choose to turn around and go back downstairs instead, then go to page 27. Ugh. The suspense and excitement of what would happen and what would unfold next and what choice you'd be faced with next. There was so much anticipation, right? But the best part of these books were that if you weren't happy with where you ended up, you would just go back to where it first gave you the choices and you just choose a different option. Wouldn't life be so grand if we had that option to go back and make a different choice? But life isn't exactly like that, is it? It's not a choose your own adventure that we wish it would be. It's funny how we want so much control over our lives that are so intermingled and part of those who also want control over their lives. This is probably the exact reason that we either give up choosing any adventure or we stress over choosing the right one. It becomes a struggle between, if I can't have full control, why bother? And okay, let me try that again, but a little bit differently this time, right? But here's what happens when we give up. It's usually one of these two scenarios. One, we get jealous of those that we see as out there living a life and has so much adventure, and we grow bitter. Or two, we're back at it obsessively trying to control the outcome of our story, of our adventure. But there's one key factor that we often miss when we get to the point of obsessing over the control, our control of a potential outcome. And it's, there's only one that has the ability and the authority over outcomes, and that's God. I know it's easy to say that, God's in control. I get it. Trust me, I get it. And I am very much fall into that category of wanting to control outcomes. But here's the thing. If choosing your own adventure is the picture of what we want for our lives, then I'd have to say that Mad Libs is probably closer to the actual reality of our lives. Mad Libs is another fun and fond memory of my childhood. And if I'm honest, adulthood too. I've introduced Mad Libs to my kids. But there's something about the participation in creating these insane and mostly hilarious stories until or unless I'm the subject, right? Like to make me the subject of these obnoxious, crazy stories, right? But in case you're not familiar with Mad Libs, according to our friends at Wikipedia, this is how they explain it. Mad Libs is a phrasal template. It's a word game that consists of one player prompting others for a list of words to substitute for blanks in a story. So it would be, you'd have subject. You would say, give me a noun, or give me a person. And, they say, Deana. Okay, give me a verb. Okay, going. Give me another noun, a place, store. And those are the blanks. Deana, going, store. Now, the story would make sense if, when you read it, Deana is going to the store, right? But that's not how Mad Libs works, because the person that's giving you those answers has no idea what the subject of the story is or how it's going to go, right? Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty close to real life, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Think about it. Look at your own life. You have this template, let's say, of, the idea of what you want in and for your life, yet there's missing parts that you're not quite sure of how to navigate. These blanks, right? So while you're trying to figure out what would make the most sense to fill in those blanks, bam, somebody else comes along and fills in the blanks for you. It could be a situation, it could be a circumstance, it could be something that someone said or did, right? And those answers are nothing like what you would have chosen. Not so funny now, is it? Mad Libs living also happens in our faith and in our business. See, we have this loose framework of what we want and think should happen, but then there's some blanks that you're just not clear on how to fill out yet. And the next thing you know, someone comes along and fills them in for you, and not the way that you would have wanted. But isn't that the way, though? You may not know exactly what the blanks should be, but you're pretty sure that's not it, right? Doesn't that get us crazy when someone else comes along and says, oh, well, you need to do this, 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 and this. And then we get all like, but that's not what I wanted. But you didn't know what you wanted. See, others, and others may even be brave enough to tell you that, well, they think it makes your story better or more interesting, or worse, funny. I don't know about you, but when I'm seriously planning out my big, fat, scary goals, the last thing I'm thinking is funny. But if you live long enough to recognize that life happens for you and not to you, then those past, unfortunate, and even unwanted Mad Libs episodes may just be pretty laughable now. Hindsight has a way of doing that to us, right? So we don't always get to choose our own adventure. Life oftentimes seems like one big Mad Libs episode or page, let's say. So what's next? How do we kind of find the the balance or the harmony between this, I can't really choose my own adventure and control outcomes, and I have an idea of what I want, but there's some blanks, but people keep coming in there and filling them in before I can get there. Is there something else? Well, yes, there is. And I'm going to tell you. It's about magnetism. See, we all want to attract. We want to attract the right people into our circle, the right opportunities to our endeavors. And yes, even you introverts out there, you still desire attention at some point. Lots of time is spent on becoming attractive to and for those types of things. And if you're in business, there's a whole learning curve to be mastered that's known as attraction marketing. And yes, it's designed to attract the right demographic to your offer. But here's the thing. How much time do we spend on repelling the wrong things? Think about it. A magnet has two capabilities. One is to attract, and the other is to repel. You do remember that, right? When you're trying to connect two magnets, they push against each other. Well, everyone's out there focused on being attractive by improving their magnetism, but most fail to take into consideration that by repelling what you don't want to attract, that can be just as effective. One of the most successful people to ever do this, even thousands of years after his death, is Jesus. Talk about magnetism. That guy still attracts people to him today. And just as many are repelled by who he is, what he represents, and those of us who are attracted to him and follow. But here's the kicker. Jesus' focus and goal is to attract. So who's pushing away? All I know is that aside from being the master of magnetism, he has the right answers to the blanks in your seemingly Mad Libs kind of life. And talk about adventure. You'd never see as much on your own as you do with him. The kind that you can't wait to see what's next. The kind you can't believe what's next. You're watching this as part of my adventure with him. That's the kind of adventure I'm sure all of us wouldn't mind having as a part of our histories and our legacies. So I'll leave you with our better life adventures ahead. The cool thing is you get to decide. Thanks for watching, and I hope to be back with more episodes and perspectives and thoughts like this. If you like this, subscribe to the channel, click like, share it out there. I would love to connect with you beyond this platform, however you come across it. Like I said, this is kind of a little bit of a new territory for me in venturing out this way, but I look forward to coming back a lot more and seeing you a lot more. Thanks for watching.